I want to talk about research design and research methodology and how it relates to the quality of evidence. We'll start here at the Nutrition and Food Studies Subject Guide. Under evidence-based resources, one thing that I want to draw your attention to is something called SAGE Research Methods and Cases Online. This is a central place to find information about different kinds of research methods, research designs, and specifically quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods in the social and behavioral sciences. A couple of important things at SAGE are the little green books and the little blue books. The little green books talk about quantitative methods in research. For example, designing randomized controlled trials in a book called Public Health Research Methods. The little blue books are qualitative methods. These would be focus groups, interviews, ethnography, narrative reviews. This is the kind of research that would be found in something called Qualitative Methodology, a practical guide. SAGE also gives you access to a project planner so that you can plan the different pieces and steps in your research according to this outline. The Which Stats test will allow you to answer a few questions about the study that you're designing, and it will suggest appropriate statistical methods used to analyze your data. This relates to the quality of evidence pyramid. This quality of evidence pyramid applies specifically to medicine and health. Other disciplines will have other benchmarks for quality. But in medicine, we are looking for evidence to make clinical decisions. So we want the best evidence. At the bottom of this pyramid is unfiltered information. The unfiltered information is the raw data, the primary research that's been done by researchers. At the bottom of this section is background information and expert opinion as the least reliable source of evidence because it's based on experience. The case control studies, case series, and case reports usually involve a very small subject pool, and so it's difficult to generalize the results. Cohort studies or longitudinal studies follow groups of subjects to see the outcomes of interventions and exposures. At the top of the unfiltered information are randomized controlled trials. This is the gold standard because the evidence produced from a randomized controlled trial is considered more reliable. They try to eliminate bias by randomizing subjects to different arms of the research, and sometimes they use double blind so that neither the investigator nor the subject knows which part, whether they're in the control group or in the intervention group. The second part of this pyramid is filtered information. And what the filtered information does is take all the unfiltered raw information and synthesize it to come up with the best kinds of clinical recommendations. So at the top of the pyramid is something called systematic reviews. This is a very rigorous methodology that looks at all kinds of research and synthesizes the results to come up with clinical decision-making recommendations. Now, an example of a systematic review database is our Cochrane database of systematic reviews. Cochrane is British-based. What they do is they take only randomized controlled trials on a topic, and then they rigorously assess them for quality and then synthesize the results to come up with practice recommendations. A type of systematic review is one step further called a meta-analysis. And what a meta-analysis does is take the results sections of the raw primary source research and pool them all together using statistical analysis so that they can have a larger subject set to draw conclusions from. Finding these kinds of special study designs in the literature is really very easy, just using keywords. So for example, I have set up my search here in Medline with celiac disease, or the British spelling of it, diet therapy, and I'm looking for a cohort or longitudinal study, so I can add that as keyword in the third box and find one that's a 5-year longitudinal study from the point of diagnosis. I can also find a randomized controlled trial by typing randomized controlled trial there and in the box, and the drop-down menu will offer suggestions for synonyms such as RTC or randomized spelled with an S, so you can capture the British publications. To look for a systematic review, you can just use the term systematic review, which is supposed to appear in the title of the articles. Here I'm using a MESH heading, a medical subject heading, celiac disease, with a subheading of diagnosis. So I'm looking for a systematic review on celiac disease diagnosis. You do not need to put systematic review in quotes. This is just another thing you can do if you want. Looking for the qualitative research, you can use the term qualitative or interviews or focus groups, and you will retrieve that kind of study design. So today I used Nutrition and Food Studies Subject Guide, as well as SAGE Research Methods and Cases Online. Thank you.